Hello YouTube and welcome to my channel. My name is Cleo and I'm here to give you guys a horror movie review. I'm gonna go through a bunch of horror movies I've seen these last weeks. It has been wonderful to watch these movies, even if some were good, some were bad, some was a bit like that. I'm not gonna go so deep in facts when it comes to this movie. It's supposed to be a light review. It's so light I would probably just say it's good, it's bad, recommend, don't recommend. But I will give small information, of course, what the movie is about and things like that. We are going through a bunch right now. We're going through the Annabelle movies and we're gonna through the Conjuring movies, The Nun and La Llorona, so I'm just gonna give what I personally think about these movies, so let's get to it. Annabelle 2014. I'm gonna give a short explanation about this doll. There is an evil entity that takes hold of the doll and uses it as a conduit, and he also torments the people that will own the doll. The entity's name is called Mathus. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but he also feeds on souls. This movie is pretty boring. Not much happens in this movie. The only action we get is when the neighbors get killed by a couple of satanistic people. And that's pretty much it. The actors were boring, the acting was dull. Like I said, a little happened, but not so much to get me excited. I, of course, do not regret watching this movie, but it's boring. Mother and the father is grieving the loss of their 7-year-old daughter that got run over. 12 years later, after the accident, the Mullins, the parents that were grieving, opened their home to provide shelter to a nun that has 6 girls that are orphans. The father is a doll maker and he created Annabelle and named Annabelle after his daughter. When the guests arrive, the guests choose their rooms. The room that is off limits is of course their younger daughter's room, the one that got killed by a truck. Nobody can enter this room. In this room there is a smaller room where the doll Annabelle is sitting on a chair. And around her, on the walls, there are Bible pages to contain evil. So of course one of the orphanage girls opens the door and unleashes evil. So this evil starts to torment the whole house. Of course, which is classic for this entity, is that it preys on the weakest one first. This movie is the best movie of the Annabelle series. It is balanced with good acting and good effects and scares. So good, it kept me entertained throughout the whole movie. I was very excited to see it. But while I was watching it, I was kind of hoping for more. I wanted more of, I don't know, more scares or it being a bit longer. I don't know, I was so entertained, I just felt thirsty for more. And yeah, without it going out of hand, of course. I have seen this movie twice and I do not mind watching it again. Annabelle Comes Home 2019. Annabelle gets put into a glass box with a locked door by Ed and Lorraine Warren that confiscated Ed from a couple of nurses that called the paranormal investigators for help. Now, in real life, there were an Ed and Lorraine Warren and they were indeed paranormal investigators. In this movie, the Warrens goes on a trip to investigate a case, leaving their daughter with a babysitter called Mary Ellen. Mary Ellen also has a best friend that knows everything about the Warrens and know what they do, so she decided also to go over to their house. What this best friend does when nobody sees is snoop around. She finds the artifact room where Annabelle is sitting, also where they contain a lot of different things from different paranormal cases. She finds this room and gets really curious. The reason why she's looking around is because she's trying to find a way to contact the dead. What I mean about that, the one she's trying to contact is her deceased father. She finds the doll Annabelle in a glass box and she opens it, forgets to close it, and leaves when she notices that there's people close to her, coming close to her. The spirit of the Annabelle child gets released and she starts to release other spirits as well. So in this movie there's a lot of things going on, and my problem with this movie is that instead of making a good movie with balanced acting and balanced effects and scares, it seems more that they try to show off the effects more than anything else. It was pretty much all over the place. A lot of things happened, but at the same time nothing really did. It was just messy. Of course, this movie is better than Annabelle 2014, but this movie left me with a question like, oh, so you guys learned some new effects, I see. And yeah, I didn't feel so satisfied. It was too much at the same time. Too much was happening. I think they had to thin it out a little. But to be honest, it's not a movie I'll probably watch again. Conjuring 2013 now. This is a movie. So these movies are about Lorraine and Edward Warren. They are real paranormal investigators, yes, that have actually existed in real life. So these are based on true characters. So in these 3 different movies, we get to follow them when they take on 3 different cases. This movie is about a family that moves into a new house and also discovers a cellar or basement that was boarded up. I also had a dog that refused to enter this home. A lot of paranormal activity started in a few nights, where also the clocks around the house stopped always at 3:07 a.m. Also, the woman in the home woke up with a lot of heavy bruises. The family would sooner find out that the home belonged to an accused witch called Bathsheba. The accused witch sacrificed her week-old baby to the devil. She then hung herself 1863, 3:07 a.m. in the morning. Before she did that, she cursed the land, cursing anyone that would take it. I love the Conjuring movies. This is how it's done. The acting, the scares, the effects, everything was balanced, following a straight line. It was perfect. It was exciting from beginning to end, and this is how you do it. And the couple in this movie, Warren and Edward Lorraine, look so good together. And of course, the actress Lily Taylor is also amazing. She has been in many movies, but the one I remember the most is The Haunting. That is a movie I rewatched tons when I was younger. It is of course not a scary movie, but it is an entertaining movie. Anyway, I do recommend the first Conjuring. This movie is really good. I just love the Conjuring movies. Excuse me if I cannot pronounce a certain word right. The Conjuring 2, the Enfield Poltergeist. I got so excited when I figured out what this movie was going to be about. The Enfield Poltergeist, I've known it since before because there's an actual documentary about this case, and it's really exciting, and I remember rewatching it all the time. So when I noticed that this movie was about just that case, I got so freaking excited. This movie is about an old man called Bill Wiggins that lived and died in the house where a mother and her 2 daughters are living in. He insists that the house is his and wants them out. But the paranormal investigators Lorraine and Edward will figure out that Bill is being used by an evil nun. So Bill is pretty much a pawn Of course, in the documentary you can find in YouTube, which this movie is based on, there is no nun involved in that story, of course. Love this movie, love the case. There could be a chance, I'm just saying could be a chance, not proving anything, that I would do a separate video about just this case, because it is exciting. Overall, like I said, love this movie, recommend it, go watch it. Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. This movie is about exorcism, and it's about a very, very mean, angry lady that likes to possess people and make them do very, very bad things. She likes to curse other people. The movie starts us with the 8-year-old child called David that looks a lot like Eric Smith, the child killer, and that just made me crazy throughout the whole movie. The paranormal investigators are trying to perform an exorcism on this child, but it fails when the devil jumps from the child to somebody else and nobody knows about it. Here Edward gets a stroke also, so he knows that the devil jumped, but before he even can say what happened, he blacks out. The devil jumped over to a guy called Arne. In real life, there was an actual dude called that, and his case was the first case in the US history where the defense said that he got possessed by the devil. There were a lot of impressive effects in this one, and it was somewhat entertaining, but the second one is still stronger. Because I remember the second one very well, I remember the first one very well. This one I feel like, okay, I understand what happened, but what really happened? It's like a blur almost. So I guess it wasn't that interesting for me. Still, it's a good movie, it's not bad, it's just not stronger than the other ones. Nun, 2018. The movie starts out in Romania, 1952, where two nuns are running from an evil force. One of the nuns enters a tunnel to retrieve an ancient Christian relic. The surviving nun flees from the demon that takes form of an evil nun and then hangs herself. So come to think of it, she's not that surviving at all. Father Berke gets asked to go to Romania and bring with him Sister Irene to investigate the situation. Sister Irene meets the other nuns and notice that they are praying consistently and in shifts to keep the evil at bay. One of the nuns reveals to the sister that the abbey was built in the Middle Ages, so to be used by the Duke of St. Carta, a powerful aristocrat that was obsessed by the occult. The Duke summoned the demon through a rift in the catacombs. The knights killed the demon and sealed the rift with a vial filled with the blood of Christ. But sadly, the bombings in World War II opened the rift again and released the demon. So before I watched this movie, I thought for myself that this movie would be silly and ridiculous. Boy, was I wrong. This movie is darker and has better scares than the movies I mentioned earlier. It is a dark masterpiece and definitely a movie I can rewatch again. Mystique, excitement, horror. You can really see that they thought this through. The only thing that looked extremely ridiculous was the vial of the blood of Christ. It looked like a plastic ball. Some plastic ball you can take with you and swim with. Abbey, the castle that it is taking place, looks like Hogwarts, or reminds me of Hogwarts, but when they are filming inside it, when we are inside it, it looks really, really, really small. Fun fact, the actress that plays Sister Irene is called Tassi Farminga and is family with Vera Farminga that played Lorraine in The Conjuring. Well, with that said, I recommend this movie. Curse of La Llorona 2019, a Mexican folklore story. In the movie, she caught her husband cheating, so she killed both her sons, which was precious to him, and then she killed herself because of the guilt. In the movie, she goes after the other mother's sons. I watched this movie for like 20 minutes. The beginning was too slow, too boring, and it did not capture my interest at all. Therefore, I didn't feel any excitement to continue watching it. Also, the other thing is, it's not connected with the Conjuring universe at all. It's just something random I wanted to see. And yeah, for me it's very boring. If you want to give it a try, then please do. I can't. So I love horror movies that are kind of adventurous, excitement, and have mystique in. Also have good scares and good horror, I guess. The thing here is, none of these movies, for me personally, were scary, but they were good and had good story. And I think the reason why I enjoy them is because I am a little bit interested in the paranormal. But I am skeptic, but I found it interesting and exciting, even though I'm very, don't believe so much in it. My favorite movies out of these movies were The Conjuring 2 and The Nun. Thankfully, well, not for me because I don't live in the US, but it's gonna release. There's gonna be a Nun 2 release 8th of September this year in the US. So I don't know when Sweden is gonna get it, but when it comes here, I'll be watching that, trust. I have read that there will be a Conjuring 4, but the producers are asking for our patience. No worry, you will get it as long as I know I will get Conjuring 4 sooner or later. I need it. Me personally, I love the Warrens. I love their story. I love these actors that plays them, of course, but in my opinion, the Conjuring movies can continue forever because they take on different paranormal cases, and there are plenty. So if we don't get these actors, which is sad, but everything comes to an end, we still can continue the Conjuring movies. I really want to, as long as you do them well. I'm of course very excited for the news of the Conjuring 4. I can't imagine what case they are gonna take us into, but yeah, we'll have to wait. I'll gladly wait. The sad part now is I'm having troubles finding movies that are like these, that are gonna be as exciting. I'm still looking, but yeah, we'll see. If you guys enjoyed this review and enjoy these kind of reviews, please leave a like and subscribe today for more, and I'll continue. Thank you so much for watching, and if you want, you can comment on what of these movies are your favorite and why. Take care, bye bye.